Hello, Internet. It's the Pennsylvania Hitman, and I'm here to answer some viewer questions. Alright, guys, so I've been doing these videos on YouTube, and the only social media platform I really use is Facebook. I'm always on Facebook. I have a Twitter account. I don't use it. I have Instagram. I don't use it. You know what I mean? I tried. It's just tough to keep up with all that stuff. So, if you guys have any questions, or you want to ask me questions or anything like that, hit me up on Facebook. I'll respond to all of the messages on Facebook. So I got this idea. I've been doing these videos about my fights, about street fight stories and some stuff like that, and I just thought I'd switch it up. And I didn't know how good. I didn't know how welcome this idea would be, so I got this idea to do a question and answer to people that view my videos. I told them to post a question on my Facebook page under this, post a comment on this thing I set up, and I'd answer the questions in the videos. And I got a shocking response. I wasn't too sure if people would want to participate in this game I did. So I got more questions than I thought I would get, and I just wanted to say I thank you and appreciate all you guys for watching my videos and asking the questions and stuff like that, and kind of participating in this question and answer thing. And I got like 92 or 93 subscribers. You need 1,000 before you can start making money on YouTube. So I need you guys to share my videos, like and subscribe. So try to help me out. I've been putting in a lot of work on these videos, and it's been fun, but it's hard, definitely harder than you think. It's hard just to talk to nobody and then record it and then put it on, upload it to YouTube. So it's definitely kind of strange. It was tough at first, where I'd record and then I'd stop and I'd be like, "Man, motherfucker, fucking goddamn it," and then I'd do it again. I'd be like, "Fucking son of a bitch, I fucked up." So I'm starting to get comfortable talking to nobody, which is probably good during this this coronavirus pandemic, because we're all trapped in the house, so you kind of just got to talk to yourself, right? My neighbors, I probably talk too loud. My neighbors probably think I'm crazy. But I just want to say thank you guys for watching my videos, and thank you for participating in the question and answer thing. And here they are. Here's my answers to your questions. Thank you. All right, the first question comes from James Scheffler, and he asked me what he could do for a home MMA workout to keep him in as close to fight shape as possible without having access to the gym. So I can definitely do that. First thing I want to tell you is you want to do some stretches, okay? Talk to your jiu-jitsu instructor and your MMA coach, Ben Quigley. And have him, if he doesn't do these for you, have him tell you or show you the stretches that we did every day when I started class. Okay, those stretches are super important. Stretches are super duper important. Okay, so you want to stay stretched out. Okay, then the next thing you can do is you want to do 4 sets of 25 push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. Push-ups, sit-ups, and squats, that's going to be like a total body workout. You're going to hit every muscle in your body by doing these, okay? You're going to do 4 sets of 25 push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. And I'm going to demonstrate how to do them real quick, because you want to do the push-ups, the sit-ups, and the squats a certain way, okay? So let me move the camera so I can get them down to the ground here so you can see what I'm going to do. When you do the push-ups, okay, you want your arms out, okay? You don't want your elbows in, okay? Hopefully I can do some push-ups. I have a torn, what the heck is torn in my shoulder? I have something torn in my shoulder. I can't remember what the hell it's called. But you want your elbows out, not in. Like when you do push-ups like this, it works your triceps. If you move your elbows out, it's going to work your shoulders, chest, and biceps more. Okay? Just like that. When you do your sit-ups, you want to do them just like you're in the guard position. Okay? You cross your ankles, arms out, You set them up like this. That's how you want to do your sit-ups. And when you do your squats, pay attention, okay? My feet are going to be just slightly over shoulder width apart, and when I go down, my butt's going to touch my heels, and I'm going to come up on my toes. That way I get my calf muscles. And my hands are going to go out for balance. So my legs are just about shoulder width apart, maybe slightly over shoulder width apart. When I go down, I come up on my toes. Okay, that way I get my calves, and I got bad knees. Okay, I've had 3 knee surgeries, and I can still come down this far. And then I come up. That's 1. Up on my toes. Just like that. All right. So if you do 4 sets of 25, I would do that before a fight, like every time I worked out. Back when I started fighting, a lot of my workouts were at home, and I was working out by myself because I didn't have a whole lot of training partners, so I had to come up with stuff to do on my own. So, stretching, the stretches, ask Ben about the stretches. Okay, do 4 sets of 25, push-ups, sit-ups, and squats, just like I showed you there. And then you know, of course, you know, with money and stuff, you know, I asked you online kind of what you had access to. You said you had a heavy bag. I recommend getting a jump rope, okay? Jumping rope is really important. I believe the amateurs fight 3-minute rounds, maybe 2-minute rounds, depending on what state you're in or something like that. But you want to, let's just say you're fighting 3-minute rounds, you want to jump rope for 11 minutes straight with no rest, okay? That's 3-minute rounds, and the minute rest you have between the first and second round and the second and third round, okay? So that's 11 minutes straight. Jump rope for 11 minutes straight. That's one of the best things you can do for it. Shadow box. Make sure you shadow box. That's good too. And if you want to change up your shadow boxing a little bit, try to buy like 1 pound weights, or try to find something that you can hold in your hand, like maybe a can of soup or something like that, and you know, do some shadow boxing. You know, shadow box at 3-minute rounds. And you said you had a heavy bag, so do some heavy bag work. You know, mix it up with the heavy bag. Like you can do, always train just like you're gonna fight. So you're gonna do 3-minute rounds on the heavy bag. You know, you can mix it up. You can just do different combinations on the heavy bag and change it up. Maybe next time, just throw jabs. Just throw a whole round of jabs. Next round, switch stances. Throw a whole round of jabs with the opposite hand. The next round, throw straight punches, all straight punches. And then, you know, the next day, switch stances and do a straight punch with the other hand, or do an extra round. So you can do some stuff like that. And you can always run. Running's good. When I was fighting, I ran 5 miles a day, and then I did sprints. After I would run 5 miles a day, I would do sprints. So if I was fighting 3-minute rounds, then I'd sprint for 3 minutes, rest for a minute, sprint for 3 minutes, rest for a minute, sprint for 3 minutes. If I was doing 3 5-minute rounds, I'd sprint for 5 minutes. Now, I know what everyone's going to think. How the hell are you sprinting for 3 minutes or 5 minutes straight? Like, that's impossible. Yeah, I'm going to sprint. I'm going to run as hard as I can. I'm just going to say 5 minutes. I'm going to run as hard as I can. After about 60 seconds or 90 seconds, your sprint is going to look like a slow jog, okay? But I'm literally running as fast as I can, okay? I'm running as fast as I can. I lived in the city at the time, so I would do like suicide sprints on a block, and then I'd have a stopwatch in my hand or on my wrist or something like that, and I'd beep when the 5 minutes was up. But I would run as hard as I can for 5 minutes. Run 5 miles. Don't run more than 5 miles, because you don't need to run any more than 5 miles, and then do the sprints. So you got stretching, shadow boxing, those push-ups, sit-ups, and squats, 4 sets of 25. Those different ways you can hit the heavy bag, get a jump rope, and you can do sprints and running. So that's what I'd recommend for you to do for a home workout. All right, guys. The next question is from Brandon Bennett. He asked me what my opinion was of innocent until proven guilty, because he feels like he's been deprived of that many times. There's no such thing as innocent till proven guilty. That's a bunch of bullshit, okay? Everybody is guilty until proven innocent. I don't care who you are. Let's take, for example, this Ahmaud Arbery situation, okay? I think everyone knows about that situation. The black kid, the young black kid that was jogging down the street, and these 3 white people chased him down the street and killed him with shotguns. Okay, he was guilty till proven innocent. Okay, people took it upon themselves. People just right off the bat, people just assume you're guilty. You have to prove you're innocent. Okay, I know all the details about this case. Let's take this one for example. Okay. Some guy called the cops on him because they seen him inside a house, okay, across the street. Let's stop right there. The guy that called the cops just assumed he shouldn't be in there. He doesn't, the homeowner that was building the house that Ahmaud Arbery was walking into, okay, he didn't know those guys, okay, that chased Arbery down, okay? He didn't know them guys, okay? He didn't know Arbery either, okay? And he's had a video camera in there for a while. Ahmaud Arbery has been going in and out of that property for the past couple months, okay? And this guy knows that. He's seen him on the tape. And Ahmaud never stole anything, okay? So, the homeowner never called the cops and said, hey, there's some young black kid that keeps going onto my property. I don't know who he is, but here's the video footage of him. Can you guys track him down and trespass him from my property, okay? The homeowner never did anything like that. The homeowner just didn't give a shit because he wasn't stealing nothing. He was going in and out of there many times, okay? But the neighbor across the street assumed he shouldn't be there. He doesn't know if Ahmaud knew the homeowner. Maybe the homeowner told Ahmaud to go in there and check on the place. Maybe the homeowner told him to go grab something, out of there and bring it back to his house or something. You don't know. Okay? And that's why it's guilty till proven innocent, because everybody assumes that you're doing something wrong, especially if you're black. Okay? Everyone, if you're black, you must be doing something wrong. It's a fucking crock of shit. Okay? So there's a perfect example of guilty until proven innocent. It's never innocent until proven guilty. Because them guys could have just assumed that, maybe he's allowed to go over there because they seen him go in there a couple times. Maybe he's allowed to go in there. They just assumed he wasn't supposed to be there, and they took it upon themselves to track him down and stop him and try to question him, okay? So that's a perfect example of guilty till proven innocent. Nobody is innocent till proven guilty, because the general mind frame of people nowadays is you're guilty. Everyone just thinks you're guilty. If you were arrested, you must be guilty because the police don't do anything wrong. Okay, it's the biggest crock of shit ever. This stupid fucking lawyer I had one time named what the hell was his name? His last name is Ridge. I can't remember his first name. He's a judge now. I think it's Dave Ridge. I hired him for a lawyer once, and I didn't do what I was accused of doing. And he told me, sometimes life's not fair. He literally said that. Sometimes life's not fair. And you know what? I don't like how he represented me, but he's right. Life isn't fair, okay? And when you get arrested, you're guilty. You're guilty till proven innocent. It sucks, but that's just the way it is, man. It sucks. It's unfortunate. So that's my opinion on that. All right, the next question is from Josh Williams. He wants to know my opinion on the Anthony Smith-Glover Teixeira fight, and if I thought it was a good stoppage or not. This one I want to take a long time to answer because I didn't see the fight when he asked me the question, so I had to look it up, and I wanted to watch the fight just to make sure I gave it, an accurate opinion of what I saw. And what I saw, it wasn't as bad as what I was reading about on the internet. Chael Sonnen was blowing up on his YouTube page, talking about how disgraceful the cornermen were. I saw some other people. Sean Salmon, who is a former UFC fighter, really good wrestler, was talking about how that wasn't the sport that he remembers. It didn't depict the sport that he loves and all this and all that. I'm a little hardcore, okay? I want to tell you for the people that don't know me super well, I want you to know, I'm a fighter. I was a professional fighter, okay? I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, okay? I've reffed, okay, MMA fights. I was a ref for the state of Ohio, and I was a judge for the state of Ohio, okay? So I've done, and I've also coached. So I've coached guys, okay, in MMA fights. I've coached professionals and amateurs in MMA fights. So my opinion comes from me doing every one of those jobs that was going on last night, and especially my opinion as a fighter. I've had my I heard Anthony got his teeth knocked out. I got a tooth knocked. I got one of my bottom tooths missing from fighting. It got knocked loose, and it was loose for years. And I bit into some freaking cold chocolate, a big thick piece of cold chocolate, and that finished it off. But it got knocked loose and all retarded from fighting. I've had my orbital bone like busted to pieces to where I almost lost my eye. I got scars all over my face. Girls have fucking called me names and said I look like I lost a fight against a lawnmower. I got a torn labrum in my shoulder. That's what was torn that I was talking about earlier. I got a torn labrum. I broke my ankle in fights. I've been knocked out. I've had all those things happen in different fights, whether Anthony Smith, it all happened in one fight. But I want to talk about the job of the coach, okay? Your coaches and your cornermen, okay? This is how I would corner people, okay? It's your job to get the guy ready to fight, okay? You've been training, preparing him for this fight. So your guy's in shape. He's ready for the fight. And Anthony Anthony Smith was the favorite in the fight. From the betting odds and stuff, he was favored to win. So as soon as and it looked like Anthony Smith, in my opinion, definitely won the first round. The second round, it could have went either way. I could see someone giving it to Glover, or I could see it going to Smith. So after the second round, it was a good possibility that Smith was up 10-9 in each one of those rounds, okay? So after 2 rounds, there's 3 more to go. But as a cornerman, okay, the first thing I do is when the guy comes back to the corner, whether he won that round or not, I say, how do you feel? You feel good or, anything wrong? I say to you, how do you feel? And then they'll answer. They usually say good. Fighters usually say good. I try to talk to my guys when I fight, say, look, you need to be completely honest with me when I'm working your corner. When I ask you, are you okay? You need to tell me, does your hand hurt? Did you break your foot? And I'm watching the fight, and I can see stuff that, from watching so many fights, I've been in 60 MMA fights and over 500 street fights, and I can't imagine how many fights I've watched. I probably have watched tens of thousands of fights. So I can pick up on stuff that I can see that maybe the average person can't see. Like for example, I think whatever that little guy was that just fought the other day and retired, he beat Dominic Cruz, Henry Cejudo. I think he hurt his leg in that fight. I can't remember what round, the first or second round, but I think he hurt his leg in that fight, and I picked up on that. So I'll watch my guy fight, and when he comes back to the corner, I'll say, hey, are you okay? How you feel? And, usually, generally speaking, I feel good, I'm okay. So if they say that and I think I saw something, I'd be like, how's your foot? It looks like maybe you sprained your ankle. Did you break your foot out there? If they're not throwing a punch big time, I'll say, did you break your hand? How's your right hand feel? And they'll tell me, yeah, it hurts, blah, blah, blah. It's this, that, and the other thing. So now I know what's wrong with my fighter. So that's the first thing I want to find out. When they come back to the corner, I want to find out how they feel and if something's hurt, okay? If you won the round, it's a little tough, okay? You almost just tell them, okay, just keep doing what you're doing. You might tell him to make some adjustments. Maybe he's being real repetitive with, you're only throwing one punch. Let's mix it up. Come on, you got to throw more than one punch. Let's start throwing, 2, 3, and 4 jabs at a time. After you throw the right hand, let's follow it up with that cleanup hook, okay? So start throwing that left hook after that right hand. You want to tell them just some small things to make some adjustments, okay? There's really not much. You won the round. Just keep doing what you're doing. But hey, it looks like you're doing this, this, and this. Let's do more of this. Let's do more of that. If you lost the round, okay, there's a lot more instruction that you can give to somebody because now they're doing a lot wrong, and you kind of saw what the guy was doing to your fighter, so you can help them make adjustments so it doesn't happen in the next round. Okay, and another thing too is you got to be honest with your fighter. Another thing I do is you got to be honest. When they come back, I'm going to tell them if I thought they won that round or not. They got to know where they're at on the scorecards. Are they up or down? You got to know, because if they're down and it's a third round, it's a 3-round fight, and you were telling them that they did a good job, you won that round, they're not going to, the third round, they're just going to keep doing what they're doing when they really need to make something happen. They need to finish them. They need to hit a submission. They need to knock the person out, so they need to do something. So after you find out how they're feeling, if anything's hurt, you tell them if you think they won or lost that round. If it was about even, I'll tell them, I was like, that was a close one. That one could have went either way. So just for safety concern, let's just assume we lost that one, okay? So right now, we're up around, or it's even, whatever, depending on how many rounds are at. Ask them if they want some water, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Check them out, and then, get them back out into the fight. Next round, you come back, you do the same thing, okay? The corners didn't do anything wrong in that fight. They did nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. It's, in my opinion, it's not the corner's job to throw in the towel. If my fighter came back in the round and I said, "Hey, how you feeling?" They're like, "Oh man, I think I broke my nose, I broke my hand." I'd be like, "Are you all right? Can you keep fighting?" And if they say I'm not sure, I was like, "Hey, we got like 30 seconds to make a decision. I have no problems throwing in a towel if my fighter comes back to me and tells me he's not feeling good. Okay, something's wrong with him. Okay, I think I broke my forearm. I think I broke my hand. I'll say, hey, do you want to keep going? If they say I'm not sure, I'm going to ask them maybe one more time. Be like, you got to tell me. Do you want to keep going? And if they say they're not sure, boom, I'll throw in the towel, no problem at all. But if they say, yeah, I think my hand's broke, but I'm all right. I want to keep going. I think I can win this, yada, yada. I can do this. Okay, no problem, okay? And the ref in that fight did a perfect job, okay? I think his last name was Herzog or something like that. He did an amazing job. He was telling Anthony Smith, hey, you got to defend yourself. He was paying attention. Anthony, yeah, he didn't look too good, okay, because he was getting busted up, okay, but he was defending himself, and he was still trying to win that fight, and at the end, he was smart. He knows that he was getting beat up standing up, so he let the guy take him down, so now he's just getting hit with arm punches, so the punches ain't as strong. He was working some triangles in the guard, maybe looking for an arm bar. I thought Anthony Smith was still in it and could pull it off. I know from my experiences, man, I've had promoters beg me to quit fighting, because I was bleeding so bad or whatever, or was hurt, and I always thought that I could find a way to win. I thought, especially, that's what I love about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as I feel like there's always a chance for me to catch them making a mistake on the ground. If it's on the ground, I'm not getting hit as hard because it's really just arm punches, and I can pull something out. I broke my orbital bone really bad in my last fight. I got hit with, I think it was like 130 elbows in my right eye, man. I got busted up, and I got back to the corner. George Gurgel was working my corner, okay, and he asked me, he did the same thing. He's like, how you feeling? I told him, I was like, I can't see. he's like, I think he might even ask me if I want to keep going. I'm like, fuck yeah, you know, I can win this fight. I said, I can win this fight. And, you know, the doctors came over and checked me out. I couldn't see. And they told me that they were going to, you know, put up some fingers in front of my face. And I had to tell them how many fingers were in front of me. I couldn't, I promise you, I had no idea what they were sticking up in front of me. Thank God I had George in the corner, because he had his hand on the back of my neck and head. And if they held up 2 fingers, he tapped my head twice, and I would say 2. If they held up 4 fingers, he'd go doom, 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 doom. He'd tap the back of my head 4 times, and I would say 4. You know, that was awesome. I didn't know he was going to do that. I just picked up on it, because as soon as they put the fingers in my face, he started tapping, and I couldn't see at all. I couldn't see. I had no idea. Had no idea how many fingers they were holding up, and Mark Matheny was reffing that fight, and, you know, thank God he was reffing it, because anybody else would have stopped it, and that shit fucking pisses me off. You know, I feel like anybody can be beat with the right game plan, and, you know, and shit goes wrong, but, you know, there's always they're going to make a mistake, and I just feel like I'm going to find that mistake, okay? Obviously, I didn't find that mistake in that last fight, because I lost the decision, but, you know, I was happy. Hindsight being 2020, you would think, oh, I wish someone would have stopped it. But you know what? If I lost my eye, I don't give a shit, dude. That's what I was doing. You know, that's what I was doing. You know, I'll die in there, and I wouldn't care. I always thought that, and I probably still think this. This is probably where I'm a little different than most people. But I mean, I always thought that if I died in the cage, I feel like I died doing what I love. You know what I mean? What better way to die than doing something that you love? And I feel like the ref's job is to protect the fighters, okay? That's the referee's job. And I feel like that Herzog guy did exactly that, because at the end, I believe Anthony got mounted, or he got his back taken, and he took about 8 to 10 unanswered shots, and he wasn't really making a good effort to recover from that position, and he stopped it. It was in the 5th round, he stopped it. That ref did the perfect job, and he was paying attention to Anthony Smith. He was paying attention. I thought the ref did a good stoppage. I don't think that anyone should be mad at the corner people for not stopping it. Those corner people did exactly what they were supposed to do. Okay, Anthony Smith wanted to fight. He was doing good, and he stood a chance. He was still trying to win. He was trying to throw up triangles and all kinds of shit. So it was a good stoppage. And but that's my long-winded opinion on what the cornerman's job is. It's not the cornerman's job to stop a fight unless the fighter wants him to. It's your job to instruct him how to win. What he's doing wrong, correct what he's doing wrong, make adjustments, study what the guy's doing that he's fighting, and come up with a game plan between rounds to help him win the fight. That's what the cornerman's job is. Okay, the referee's job is to stop fights. I remember, I'm going to add this. I remember, because I'd let them guys fight. When I was a referee, I'd let them fight. You know, even amateurs, man. Hey, look, if you're intelligently defending yourself, I don't care how bad you're getting your ass whooped. You know, but the athletic commission is there for fighter safety, okay? That's like, you know, their number one priority. I remember this one time I was reffing this guy. He was getting beat up pretty good, and you know, but he was defending himself, and I thought he had his wits about him. He was a tough kid, and I thought he was doing good. He just got in a bad position, got hit a bunch of times, and then there's like a head athletic commission guy there. It wasn't Bernie Perfato. He's like the head of the whole commission, but there's like the boss guy of the athletic commission at every fight. And the boss guy looked at me, and I could hear, he said, Dan, that's enough. So he knew that, you know, he wanted me to stop it. I thought it was okay. I stopped it because he's my boss, and that's, you know, I did what he told me to do. And then afterwards, I wanted to make sure I wasn't in trouble. So I'm like, hey, you know, I thought he was defending himself. You know what I mean? That's why I didn't stop it right away. He's like, no, he was defending himself, but he was getting hit with too many shots, and, you know, and I just thought he had enough. I was like, okay, just making sure, you know. So, you know, those athletic commission guys, they'll talk to the refs too and say, hey, you know, or between rounds, they'll be like, hey, You know, if that guy gets in that position again and starts taking, you know, 5, 6 unanswered shots, I want you to stop it. So they'll direct the refs if they feel like they're letting it go a little bit too long. So there's more than just the ref that's looking out for the safety of a fighter, okay? That whole athletic commission is there looking after that fighter's safety, okay? So I really just don't feel like it's the corner's job to do it. And there's so many fights that get stopped early where everyone's like, that was fucking bullshit, you know, blah, blah, blah. So the ref is going to stop it. If it's really that bad, the ref is going to stop it, believe me. The ref is going to jump in and stop the fight if you need to be. So the corner doesn't have to worry about that because they stop fights early all the time. So the cornerman doesn't have to do that. Their job is to help you win the fight and make sure you're all right between rounds. All right, so that's that question. All right, my next question comes from Joe Northup. He asked me who my toughest opponents were inside and outside the cage. That's a tough one, okay? Because I just want to make sure I'm clear because I wanted to define the word tough, okay? You got to know what my opinion of tough is because I fought a lot of tough guys. I fought Roger Herta. I fought Jeff Curran. I fought Phil Johns. You know, I fought Eddie Wineland. I fought a lot of tough guys, okay? But my definition of tough is not how many fights you win. You could never win a MMA fight or a street fight, and you could be the toughest dude on the planet, in my opinion. So, in my opinion, tough is how much punishment you can take and keep coming back for more. So, that's my definition of tough. If you're tough, you know, you can take a serious ass whooping and you just keep coming back. It's like you're the Terminator. Okay, so that's my definition of tough. It's tough to pick just one. It really is. I fought 60 MMA fights and there was a lot of tough dudes that I fought. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably have to pick Donnie Walker. Donnie Walker is from Mentor, Ohio. He trains at Griffinroll under Jason Dent. I believe he's a Mentor police officer too, actually, if you can believe that. Super cool dude. I like him. He was probably my toughest fighter. I'm going to end up showing you this video eventually. I'm going to post it. The only ones that think he won the fight is his coach, him, and his team. I don't even know if Donnie really believes he won that fight. I beat the bullshit out of him. I swear to God, the only thing I could have did more than what I did to him was stop his heartbeat. I had him in triangles. I had him bleeding. He just doesn't quit, and he's hard to choke, okay? He's just hard to finish, man. I had him in arm bars. I was just taking him down. I was punching. I was kicking him. I was beating the shit out of that fucking dude. I don't know how the hell I lost the fight. The judges, one judge scored it 30-28, which means I won every round. And then the other two judges scored it 29-28, okay, which means I only won one round and he won 2 rounds. Fucking bullshit. I fucked him up. I beat his fucking ass, dude. Beat his fucking ass. There's no way he won that fight. Fucking bullshit. I beat the shit out of him. But Donnie Walker, he's definitely probably the toughest dude I ever fought because I threw everything fucking but the kitchen sink at that motherfucker, and he would just keep going, man. And that was his history too. Like, he fought other dudes. He was just always coming back. He was in a pretty epic fight in Erie, Pennsylvania. I didn't go to it because I'm not allowed to go to them fights. They banned me from going to the fights in Erie. But he was, I don't know who he fought, but there was some epic fight. I think he won, but there was just blood everywhere. He was bleeding. The other dude's bleeding. Again, it was a bloodbath, man. It was like a horror movie. So Donnie Walker, super, super duper tough dude for sure. If I had to pick one, Donnie Walker is probably the toughest dude I ever fought. Outside the cage, man, this is going to be kind of a joke at first, but I got to say, outside the cage, my toughest opponent is the legal system. The fucking legal system is so fucking fucked up and corrupt and bullshit. They beat people up every day. They beat innocent people up daily in the court of law. But I had to throw that one in there. So my toughest opponent outside the cage is definitely the legal system. But as far as people, I wish I remembered this dude's name. If I had this dude's phone number, I would have called him and asked him what his name was, but I don't have his phone number. But there was a lot of people that saw this fight. This street fight happened in 11th or 12th grade. I went to General McLean High School, and on the weekends we would always hang out at this outside this pizza place downtown called John Wildwood's. This dude that I got in a street fight with, I can't remember his name, but I believe he went to Cathedral Prep. He was hanging out with a friend of mine, Chucky Bizarro. Okay, if anybody knows Chucky Bizarro, ask him. He'll vouch for this because this story is hard to believe. So there's lots of witnesses. There was probably 20 people at this fight. I know for sure Chucky was at the fight. Okay, me and him actually just talked about this fight early last year. We were talking about this fight. So this dude, I can't remember his name. Super tough dude. I think he was fucking with somebody. He was picking on somebody. And I was standing by and I was like, dude, what the fuck's your problem? You know, like, why are you picking on him? And, you know, he said some shit to me. I was like, dude, I'll beat your fucking ass, pussy, blah, 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 whatever. And, you know, he wasn't, you know, usually when I do that, people just shut the fuck up and back down. But he's like, fuck you, you know what I mean? You know, you want to go? And I was like, yeah, we can go. Let's do this. So I'm like, I know where we can go. I don't know why we chose this spot because I don't know how we didn't get busted. Okay, but we drove from the pizza shop down to anybody that's from Embro. There's a lake out in Embro called Embro Lake, and there's like these cottages and stuff on the lake. And there was this playground down there. There's this big playground down there. I'm like, let's go meet at this playground. So we all go down there, you know, everyone jumps in the car. When there's going to be a fight, you know how that goes when you're kids, man. Everybody's jumping in the car and going. So I don't know how no one called the cops. I'm not too sure what year it was. I know it wasn't snowing and it wasn't really cold. So I would think it was like maybe around like the end of the school season or something like that. But I'm shocked that no one called the cops. And the cops in Embro, they're fucking bastards, dude. They fuck with everybody. So I don't know how one of them didn't drive by and bust it up. But me and this dude threw down in this park. I think, and I'm not exaggerating, I swear to God, you can ask this dude, Chucky, anybody that's watching this, if they remember, comment or something and verify this story because it's hard to believe. But I believe we fought for an hour and a half. I really believe it was an hour and a half. I know it was no less than an hour. So me and this dude fought for an hour and a half. I beat the fucking shit out of this fucking dude. I had him on the ground. I was soccer kicking his head, punting his head like a football. I think I broke my foot kicking him so hard in his freaking head. And he just would keep getting up and just keep friggin' coming. You know, and I wrestle him, I take him down, pound him, kick him in the head. He'd fight his way up, boom, boom, boom. I'd punch him some more, get him on the ground, kick him in his head. I broke my hands, I broke my foot. And, you know, we're just fighting so long, man. I don't know how I didn't kill the fucking guy. And, finally, we're both just standing up. You know, there was a lot of circling because, you know, you get tired fighting that long. And finally, we both just kind of conceded. You know, like you just want to call it a draw. You want to just call it quits. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And you know, after you fight someone for that long, you gain some respect for them. And I said, you want to go back to the pizza place that we just left? And I said, I'll buy some pizza and we can eat pizza. You know, we're both bloody as fuck. We're all bloody. I don't know, friggin', we probably just wiped it on our clothes. And we went back to the pizza shop and I bought a large pizza and friggin' ate pizza with his fucking ass. So that's probably the toughest dude outside the ring that I ever fought. We fought for I believe it was closer to an hour and a half, but I guarantee, I know it was over an hour. You can ask anybody that was there. Chucky Bizarro, I know a lot of people know who he is around here. Message him and they're like, oh man, did Dan Swift really fight a dude for like an hour and a half? He's going to be like, yeah. And he knows the guy because he's good friends with the dude. He always remembers his name, and I can't ever remember the dude's name. So that's those are my toughest fights in and out of the cage. All right, the next question is from Ben Quigley. He asked me if there was any training tips for training jiu-jitsu on an aging, broke down body. So someone that's kind of hurt, getting older in the game. Is there any tips that, you know, that can make training easier? And the best advice I can give you on that is those stretches. Just like I was telling James earlier in the video, them stretches, man. Make sure you stretch out. I know after I quit training, and I wish I would have kept stretching, man. Stretching out really good that's really important. Super important. Make sure you stay stretched out. And when you're going with those young crazy kids at the gym, you know, them guys, you want to stay more reserved. You want to play more defense than offense on them guys. And when you get to a dominant position, you know, take your time, rest, breathe, you know, get your wind about you, and try to wear them out. Make them work harder than you're working. So a lot of positional dominance, and it's when you get older, it's easier to be on top. I know you're a purple belt now, and one of the things to become a brown belt is you want to work on your bottom game, you know, putting your moves into combinations, but you can still put moves into combinations on top too, you know, countering their basic moves on top that you're doing, you know, when they're escaping side control or mount, there's counters that you can do that you got to work on too for your purple belt. You still got to work on your guard, but even when you're playing the guard, and when you're in a gi, you can slow the game down a little bit. So you want to make sure you always got a nice collar grip, sleeve grip, you know, use your feet on the hips, and, you know, really control them grips and try to slow the game down. And a lot of positional dominance. And I mean, just be there and just laying on them, be real heavy on them, and wear them out. Once you wear them out a little bit, then, you know, you kind of move by inches, you know, move a little, you know, move an inch to a better position and stuff like that. So that's my best advice for training when you got an older aging body, is stretching, man. Stretch out, dude. Stretch out. I can't stress how important stretching out is. And be defensive inside their guard. Be defensive on top. You know, try to play a nice, slow, and tight game. That's my advice for how to train with an aging, broke down body. All right, next question is from Brandon Jones. He wants to know how you mentally prepare for a fight, and how do you flow from, you know, being good in the gym to being just as good as competition, or if not better in competition. I'm really big on being mentally prepared. Okay, the mental game. A lot of people disagree with me on this, but the mental game is really huge in a fight, man. If you're not confident, you're not gonna fight confident. Okay, you're not gonna compete confident. Okay, if you're confident, you're gonna perform way better than if you're not confident. Okay, if you're not confident, you're gonna hold back. You're not gonna pull that trigger like you should, and that's get you into a losing mentality. I never really had too many problems mentally preparing for a fight. There were some occasions where I definitely think, you know, somebody got in my head and I lost, you know, but for the most part, I was always like the overconfident person. I was always very overconfident. And I think I was overconfident because I was just I just trusted my jiu-jitsu. I'm really big into jiu-jitsu, and I trust my jiu-jitsu. I always felt like with a good game plan, anybody can be beat on any given day. Anybody can be beat any given day with the right game plan. To become mentally prepared, it's almost like you got to rely on your coach, okay? Because it's about building up confidence, okay? When you're confident, that means you're mentally prepared for what's about to happen, for the fight, for the grappling match, for a street fight, whatever is going on. It's about mentally prepared as being confident, okay? And the only way you can get confidence is if someone you respect or look up to is building that confidence in you. You're not going to get confidence from people that you look down upon. And I'm not, when I say look down upon, I don't mean like you're shitting on somebody. I mean like if you're in the gym, you've been training, I don't know how many years you've been training, but I think you've been training 2 or 3 years, okay? And then you got a couple new guys coming in. You can beat their ass, and they look up to you, and they're telling you how good you are, okay? That's not what's going to build your confidence up. What's going to build your confidence up are people that you think are better than you or that know more than you, okay? Those are the people that are going to build your confidence. When I taught Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, people knew that I didn't bullshit, okay? I didn't tell you what you wanted to hear. I mean, there was many times where I felt bad afterwards. I made people cry after their fights because I criticized the shit that they did wrong. And you know, ask Ben, he's going to tell you, it's like I always use the word tough love. I'm a big promoter of tough love, okay? And they knew that if I was giving them compliments and I was telling them that they could do something, I meant it, I believed it, and that made them believe it as well. So it's really about that whoever that person is that you're looking up to, if they're a good coach or they're a good mentor, they're a good instructor, whoever it is, then they're going to do that for you. They are going to build that self-esteem in you, that confidence in you, so that you are mentally prepared. So that's really how you build up mental toughness, is just being prepared and having the people that are getting you ready build that confidence in you. Okay, that's up to them. And if you don't have a good coach, it's tough. It's tough to get confident. It's really tough. And there's a lot of guys that come into jiu-jitsu that they need their confidence built up. That's why they take jiu-jitsu. So it's really important to have a good coach and a good instructor to build that mental toughness up. As far as being good at the gym and then trying to move it to being good in competition, that's super easy. And you can ask Ben. This is stuff that he's going to laugh when he hears this stuff, because this is stuff I've always said. You've got to make sure that when you're in the gym, it's not a competition. You're not grappling your training partner in a competition way to beat him. You're not like, your goal isn't to tap him out. You know what I mean? Of course that's your goal, but it's not like a competition. You want to be working on new stuff when you grapple people. So, for example, I had to do this a lot, okay? And I was telling my guys they should do this too, but I was the instructor, so I didn't get any drill time, okay? So my drill time was when I live grappled. So if I was trying to work on this new move, I was trying to work on this armbar transition or something like that, I would have to grapple and I have to put myself into that situation so I could drill that move. But I'm drilling it on someone that's trying to, he's trying hard to beat me and trying hard to fight me and grapple against me. So I'm drilling on a live partner. So for example, if I'm grappling somebody that I know that I'm way better than, then I can smash them, okay? They're not going to learn anything from you smashing them, and you're not going to learn anything from smashing them. So what you want to do is if you're way better than them, work on your mount escapes. Make sure your mount escapes are good. You should have a goal every time you grapple, okay? Grapple somebody, and it doesn't have to be the same goal when you're grappling this guy, when you're grappling this other guy. If I'm a lot better than the guy, I haven't gotten no one's been side controlling me a while, I'll let this guy get a nice deep side control. You know, I'll let him pass my guard. I'll do the move purposely sloppy, and I'll let the guy pass my guard because I don't really want him to know that I'm letting him kick my ass, okay? Because you want to build his self-esteem up too, because when he passes your guard, again, like I was telling you, the way you build confidence is by people doing stuff to the people that you look up to that are better than you, and you know, them building your self-esteem up. So if you do a move and you do it purposely sloppy, but he doesn't know you did it purposely sloppy, he thinks he passed your guard. So you're building his confidence up as a training partner. Then you're going to let him get a real tight side control, and now I'm going to work that side control escape. Okay? Do I want to work a side control escape where I replace and get him back in guard? Do I work on a side control escape where I go to my knees and I'm trying to work back up? Am I working, you know, how good I am at when someone gets my back? Maybe I'll escape side control, I'll turtle up, and I'll let the person get the hooks in, and I'll practice getting someone off my back. So that's how you get better in practice, is by not grappling with your A game in practice. Do stuff that you need work on. You know, do you need work on your back escapes? Do you need to work on your mat escapes? Do you need to work on your guard? Do you need to work on passing your guard? If you need to work on passing your guard, make sure you reverse him and get into his guard. If you need to work on your guard, make sure however you grapple, you make sure you get in a situation where you escape and you put him back in your guard, and then you start working your guard. So that's how you get good at practice. When you go to the tournament, whether it's jiu-jitsu or MMA, you're not practicing stuff that you're not good at. You already know what your A game is. You're doing the moves that you know super good. You know, you got a nasty arm bar. So like when you get in guard, you're doing that arm bar, man. It's going to be tough for that guy to escape that arm bar because you're really good at arm bars. You're really good at triangles. You're really good at hip bumps. You know, you're really good at takedowns. You're really good in side control, half guard, whatever it is. You're using your A game. A competition isn't the time to be trying shit that you're not super good at. Okay, so that's how you take it from the gym to the competition. You practice new stuff you need to work on in practice, and when it's time for the competition, you only stick to your A game. Your A game, whatever you know you're super duper good at. So that's my recommendation for that. All right, the next question comes from Jonathan Parker. It's a pretty funny question. He asked me if I knew who Bryce Mitchell was and if I heard the story about him choking out a deer. And he wants to know if I believe the story and if I ever known about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu being used against wildlife. I've never heard of Bryce Mitchell before, so I had to look this thing up. I just watched it just now. And just hearing about it, I didn't believe it. And after listening to Bryce tell the story, I'm gonna believe it's true. It is kind of a little hard to believe because he said he was standing over the deer while he was texting his coach. And I just find that so hard to believe that this thing wouldn't just get up. And so I wanted to listen to the whole story, because if he told me he choked this deer for like a minute or 2 minutes and it died, I was going to call him a liar. Because I know just from my experiences in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you're kind of curious on how long it takes to kill someone with a chokehold and stuff like that. And it does take like 5+ minutes. So he said he choked the deer for about 5 minutes, and he told his coach to run, help, like he needed help. So his coach got there, and I'm assuming, I didn't listen to the whole story because I kind of believed it. I assumed like his coach had a bow and arrow or whatever it was, and they killed the deer. So I do believe the story. It is a little hard to believe, but I think if a gun was to my head and I had to choose if I believed it or didn't believe it, I think I believe it. I actually had a crazy situation where I knew jiu-jitsu at the time, but I wouldn't say I used jiu-jitsu. I had this car. I just kind of got this car. It was like a Ford Taurus, a used Ford Taurus, and I lived out in the country, and I was driving, and this fucking little baby doe ran into my door. I can't remember if it was my passenger door or my driver's side door. It rammed into my door, and it sounded like it was hard enough to where I'm sure it dented my door, and when I went and looked, he did dent my door. Shit fucking pissed me off. The doe was probably like, I'd maybe say 60, 70 pounds. It wasn't very big, but it was kind of tall. I'd say it was probably like, I don't know, like that tall, but it, thin body. And I was pissed off, and I was like, this motherfucker just hit my car. So I stopped my car because it kind of was like all drunk and it was stumbling, but it was getting its bearings back together. And I got out of my car and I ran up to it and I put it in a headlock, and I just started punching it in the head. It just, I don't know, it just made me mad that it hit my car. I just wanted to fucking fuck it up for a minute. So I put this thing in this headlock and I like dragged it to the ground, and I was hitting it. But the back legs, as we were I was laying on its side, and I'm trying to punch it, and the back legs start freaking kicking me in the back, man, and it was like scratching, like it was like fucking me up, man. And then I started to get up, and he was kicking me with his front and back legs, and it kicked me, I don't know how many times, a few times, and it got up and ran off, man. So the thing kind of beat the shit out of me a little bit. So hearing that this Bryce guy choked out a full-grown deer, that was probably like 160 pounds. I'm like, holy shit. I'm not too sure about that, but I mean, I know I got fucked up by that little tiny deer, but I really wasn't like, my goal wasn't to kill it. I was just mad and wanted to put it in a headlock and punch it a few times because it dented my car. As far as jiu-jitsu being used, on wildlife, I know there was some guy, some jogger that got attacked by like a bobcat or something not too long ago. People were trying to say that this bobcat was like 80 or 90 pounds, and then I heard that the truth came out that this bobcat was really only like probably like 30 or 40 pounds, but I guess he rear naked choked this bobcat and killed this bobcat that attacked him when he was out jogging or mountain biking or something like that out in California or some shit like that. So, I mean, I definitely think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can be used to definitely defend yourself against humans and wildlife or dogs or anything else for that matter. You could put them in a guillotine choke and a rear naked choke, if a dog's attacking you and stuff like that. So, I definitely do think it can be used. As far as hearing about it being used to defend yourself, the only time I've ever heard it is this Bryce Mitchell situation, and this guy that got attacked by the bobcat. And then of course, I just put the deer that I was fighting with, I just put it in like a schoolyard, playground headlock. So that's I do believe his story though, and I do believe it's true. And I'm a believer in jiu-jitsu. I think jiu-jitsu can defend you against just about anything. So that's my answer to that. All right, the next question comes from Carl Johnson. He wants to know who my favorite fighters of all time were and why. I'd have to say my first favorite fighter, most of them have probably never heard of the guy before. You guys would probably have to look him up, or some people that have really been into MMA for a long time since the Pride days. My first favorite fighter was Daijiro Matsuki. I think his last name was Matsuki or something like that. It's a Japanese fighter. It's tough to pronounce his last name, but Daijiro Matsuki. His record's terrible. Like, I think I looked it up and it was like 13, 27, and 7. He didn't win very much, but that dude fought everybody and anybody, and he never quit. Like, literally, the ref would always have to stop the fights, man. He was just, he would just be bleeding. He'd just be beat down. Face would be swelled up, and he would just be standing there saying, come on, let's go. And he was always just, he was an exciting fighter. Just just the toughness of that guy. That's why I liked him, because he was just so tough, man. Like, if there was a guy that you wanted to be as tough as, like, it was that guy. He lacked skill, but as far as toughness, man, there's not a fighter that was any tougher than that guy, man. That guy never quit. He never tapped out, man. He was just, you just have to just beat him retarded till the refs jumped in. And then after that, I'm a big Diaz fan. I like Nick more than I do Nate. I like Nick Diaz. The reason why I like the Diaz brothers is I just feel like they're real. Like they don't take nobody's bullshit. They look at it more like it's a street fight in there, which is what I always did when I was fighting. I always was like, this is like a legal street fight. They do a lot of boxing and jiu-jitsu, which was a lot of my background. Mine was boxing, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling. And I tend to favor the jiu-jitsu guys because I'm a big fan of jiu-jitsu. But I kind of like just the realness and the realness of the Diaz brothers, man. Like, they're just no bullshit. They'll throw down in the hotel room. They'll throw down in the hospital, in the street, in the octagon. And it doesn't matter where it is. So I'm a big fan of the Diaz brothers. And if I had to think of anybody else, I like Robbie Lawler. I met Robbie Lawler when I fought Jeff Kieran, and Robbie Lawler is like a super cool dude, man. He's pretty funny. Like, when I was in I think we fought in Wisconsin or Minnesota. I think it was Wisconsin. When we fought in Wisconsin, when I fought Jeff Kieran, Robbie Lawler was there, and he was, Monty Cox was like the promoter of the show, and he manages Robbie Lawler. So Robbie was there probably doing something, I don't know, and Robbie was sitting next to me. I was selling T-shirts and stuff at this booth, and Robbie's got this envelope, and it had Robbie's lunch. Written on the outside of the envelope was Robbie's lunch money, and he had it stuffed like in the front of his pants, and it was just like dangling out. It was just so funny. And I'm sitting there talking to him, and Robbie's just like the coolest dude ever, and he seems like he's a pretty real dude. I like them guys that are emotional, like Robbie. Like he seems like he's got a temper, and he gets pissed off in there. He's a really skilled fighter. He's tough as nails too, and he doesn't bullshit. I like it. If he gets screwed over, he'll call it what it is. If a ref stops a fight, like Herb Dean stopped his fight one time with that one wrestler with the goofy fucking hair. I can't remember his name, but he told Herb Dean that he does a good job and he just made a mistake. It's no big deal. So Robbie's just like super fucking cool, super cool dude, and I'm a big Robbie Lawler fan. Unfortunately, the Diaz brothers aren't really fighting no more, so that's kind of tough. And Robbie Lawler seems not to be fighting that much anymore, so I'm gonna have to think of some other guy to start being a fan of. Not too sure who I'd follow right now that's up and coming. I like if anything, I like Ryan Hall too. I'm a big fan of Ryan Hall. He's a 155-pound guy. And I like him because he's really super good at jiu-jitsu. He's like a jiu-jitsu nerd, and he has a really dangerous guard. Like, when these fighters talk about like jiu-jitsu, they act like it's not effective anymore. And Ryan Hall is destroying people off his back. So he's one of the most effective guys that's fighting off his back. I'd love to train with him because I'd like to Ryan Hall is super good. Like, he's a crazy good black belt. So I'm not trying to say that I'm better at jiu-jitsu than him, but I do know more about MMA than Ryan Hall. I would love to get with him a day and just show him a couple things that he could do from the bottom to change up his game in MMA that would make it more effective for MMA and jiu-jitsu. I'd love to just spend a couple days with him and just show him a couple things. But I love his game off his back. Super flexible dude. He's kind of like the jiu-jitsu nerd, and he's kicking people's ass in these MMA fights. no one wants to fight him because he's so dangerous off his back. So he's, you know, it's kind of like a lose-lose situation. You're really not gaining nothing by beating him because he doesn't have the title or anything like that. And I think no one talks about this, but when they talk about that Nurmagomedov guy, I can't remember his first name. That's my brain's my brain's fried. But when the guy, the one, I think he's 155-pound guy, that Nurmagomedov, I think Ryan Hall would be a good fight for that dude. I think Ryan Hall could beat him because that Russian dude is a wrestler, and he takes people down and just kind of grounds them out. And Ryan Hall, that's his specialty, is fighting off his back. So I think if anybody could stop that Nurmagomedov, it would be Ryan Hall. So I'd love to see that fight. I would love that fight. But again, Ryan Hall doesn't fight that much either because no one wants to fight him. So everyone I'm a fan of, it just doesn't fight anymore. As far as boxing, my favorite fighter of all time was Roy Jones Jr. I love Roy Jones. One of my best friends went to high school with Roy Jones, which is pretty cool. My good friend George Pfeiffer, he went to high school with Roy Jones. And Roy Jones was a super cool dude in high school. And he was a showman. God, he put his hands behind his back. He was just so athletic and explosive. He fought all these different weight classes, won titles. I think he won titles in 5 different weight classes, maybe 6. But I love Roy Jones. Roy Jones is just unbelievable. He's definitely my favorite boxer for sure. So those are who my favorite fighters are. All right, the last question is from Joseph Carnes. He was asking me a question about skills and fights. He says that he understands that, skills are involved in combat sports and street fighting, and he says he thinks one of his skills and attributes is that he can take a good punch and just be able to keep going. It doesn't bother him, and he wants to know what, if any, short or long-term problems that can cause by being hit repeatedly in the head like that in street fights. This is gonna be a long one too, because I'm kind of dealing with this right now, and if you see in this video today, I forget people's names a lot and things like that. So I've been in 60 MMA fights, well over 500 street fights. I've had probably, if I had to guess, I'd say I've had probably over 100 concussions. That's probably going to be hard to believe by some, but I know for sure I've had probably 10 concussions in 1 week at one point in time in my life. I can probably count 10 times I had concussions in 1 week. So I wouldn't doubt if my concussion total was over 100. Being able to take a punch is definitely a good skill and attribute. Someone might say that's probably not the skill you really want to have, but I do believe it is a skill and an attribute for sure, because I'm known for taking a beating. I was suspended for lifetime from ever fighting again by the Ohio State Athletic Commission, by Bernie Perfado, and he told me that he was banning me from fighting and suspending me for life because I just get hit too much. And he says even when you win, you take a lot of punishment. And you can ask a lot of people that I've fought, man, like my friend Matt Horning. He's a professional fighter, and he always said he would watch me fight, and he fought me, and he said he was just amazed at how I could just absorb the punishment, and it was like it just didn't faze me, and it just didn't bother me, and I would just keep going and eventually just work through it and win. So that definitely is an attribute and skill. It definitely is better to not be hit than to be hit. But yeah, I can understand why someone would think that is a skill. As far as short and long-term effects, there's a thing right now. It's called CTE. Now, don't ask me what it stands for. Google it yourself. It stands for something like I know the T stands for trauma, and I can't remember what the C and E stands for. So again, here we go with the memory thing. But I've been for the past, I believe it's past 4 years, I've been involved in a study at the Cleveland Clinic. I go to the Cleveland Clinic once, sometimes twice or 3 times a year, and they do tests on me. So I'm involved in this study for CTE. It's they made a movie about it with Will Smith. I think it was called CTE. I'm not too sure what it was called, but it was about CTE, and that's basically head trauma and the effects of head trauma. My short-term memory is like really, really terrible, and short-term memory is like real bad. Some of my long-term memory has been affected, but definitely my short-term memory is really shitty. It's kind of funny because me and my girlfriend will get in arguments or something like that, and she'll be like, oh, you say you got memory problems, but you could remember, but you don't seem to remember every detail when I did this and this and this. I think you have selective memory. So I can't decide what I remember and what I don't remember. Some jokes about CTE is like for example, like I could watch a movie like tomorrow, and then a couple months later, someone would be like, oh, have you ever seen that movie? And I'd be like, no, And I'd be like, oh, I'm going to rent it and we'll watch it. And I'll start to watch and I'll be like, man, I know I saw this movie, but I can't remember anything that happened in the movie. So I joke around where I'm like, it's kind of cool having CT because I can just watch a good movie over and over again, and it's like the first time I ever watched it, which is hilarious. But it is on a serious note. It is really bad. I drive semi trucks for a living, and when I was driving out of town and things like that, when I was going over the road, sometimes I would forget if I had a loaded trailer or an empty trailer. I would wake up and forget what town I was in. Thank God for GPS and the phone. I would forget where I'm at. I forget if my trailer was loaded or unloaded. And this is always a problem. Like when I live in an apartment complex right now, so I can't imagine that neighbors probably laugh, but when I leave for work or I leave to go somewhere, I'll leave and I'll come back right away because I forgot something. I'll leave, I'll come back again right away because I forgot something. I'll lock my door, I'll go in my car. I'll walk back in and out of the house 3 times because I forgot something or I think I forgot something. I'll lock my door, I'll go to my car, I'll get out of my car, I'll go back and check to make sure my door's locked again, even though I've already locked it, but I can't remember locking it. I'll be in the shower, I'll be taking a shower, and I'll be washing my hair, and I'll be like, wait a minute, I don't think I washed my body. I don't remember washing my body, or I washed my body, and I'll be like, man, I can't remember if I washed my hair, but I think I did, so it's really, really bad. For the average person, I don't know. I think mine would be worse because when I go to the Cleveland Clinic, they act like my memory is pretty good, and I know it's terrible. So that really tells me they're comparing me to the other people that they see, and I guess compared to everyone else in this study, my memory isn't nearly as bad as everybody else's. So they don't seem to think my memory's that bad, but I know it's fucking terrible. So I guess that just shows you how much smarter I am than everybody else that's doing this test, because if they think my memory's pretty good, man, they have no idea, man. I can't imagine the dumbasses that are in this study. but getting hit in the head is definitely not good. I haven't been hit in the head in a long time in a street fight, thank God. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I got hit in the head, and maybe that's because I got CTE, but I don't. I usually get in a couple fights a year. My last fight I was in was last year at this truck stop. I was in work release, and I just had to one punch this guy. And then before that, the last fight I was in was like early 2016. I choked some guy unconscious in like 2 or 3 seconds, and he didn't even hit me. So I pride myself that I haven't been hit in a long time in a street fight. So I definitely don't want to make a habit of being hit and and doing that, because eventually when the older you get, your head can't take that punishment like it is, and it's going to be easier to knock you out. My ability to take punches isn't nearly as good now as it was when I was younger. I started getting knocked out a few times, later on at the end of my career, before I was suspended for life. So it's kind of like the Chuck Liddell. Everyone knows Chuck Liddell. Like when he fought Tito Ortiz, man, it was like Tito tapped him and he just fell over, So, and Chuck used to have one of the best chins in MMA. You could hit him with a sledgehammer and he wouldn't go down. And now you just touch him and he falls over. So your chin is definitely something that's going to go eventually. And there's a lot of short and long-term problems with getting hit in the head. Like, I can tell you this too. Like when I was getting my head looked at by my doctor before I did the thing at the Cleveland Clinic, I had a CAT scan done on my head, or an MRI or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but I went to my doctor and he told me that there's like a layer of fluid around your brain, and it's almost like a shock absorbent for your brain. So your brain's in the shell, and you get hit. Like you get hit in the forehead, and your brain bangs up against the front of your forehead because you punch, and punch, and your head goes back and your brain goes forward. So your brain's getting banged around in there, and there's like some fluid that acts as like a cushion for your brain. And I had a CAT scan or an MRI on my brain a long time ago with this doctor, and I was starting to have memory problems, and I was telling him about it, and he's kind of like a friend of mine. So he did this CAT scan and MRI for free for me, and he compared it to the previous one, and that layer that I was telling you about that protects your brain, kind of cushions it, is a lot thinner than it was when I previously got the MRI. And there was some like bleeding spots in my brain where my brain was like, I had some like dry blood in my brain, so my brain's been bleeding a little bit, which isn't good. So that's pretty bad. But it's definitely there's definitely some long-term and short-term effects to getting hit in the head like that. So you're kind of going to start to get dementia, and your memory is just going to be shit. So I eventually imagine that I'm just going to fucking forget everything and not know who the fuck I am, probably. I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely going through that now, and it's definitely a struggle with work and kind of remembering to do things. You almost like forget how to do stuff sometimes too, with the CTE. So definitely that's definitely the long-term and short-term effects. You don't want to make a habit of that. I'm hoping, and I know you're probably a little younger than me, Joe, so you're probably not getting into as many street fights as you were when you were younger, but try not to get hit in the head when you're fighting. That's important. So that's what I can tell you about head trauma. Hope you learned something.